my friends, indeed. Glad to have you back with us here on episode 88 of Countdown to Restoration. We are counting down the evil dark days of the Biden regime, counting down till we're back to normal, because we are anything but, as we chronicle the days of the thief in chief. That's right, the thief in chief. Yeah, all right. Thanks, buddy. See you tomorrow. Remember, you can always see us on Rumble, channel DANWT. That would be a capital D, but everything is also on YouTube. Channel Danny Thompson. Great name. Remember, I am a potential storm, tropical storm this year. I'm excited. That's right. Tell you who else is excited today. It's Dr. Rachel Levine, because we have a lot of news, much of which will make him happy. The poster child of the Biden regime that shows right off. You can't trust them. They don't know a man from a woman. One walked up and said, "Hi, I'm Dr. Rachel Levine." They wouldn't know it was a man. Everyone else does, but Aerosmith does. Indeed. The lady also looks like a dude, I guess. You say, why are you always so mean to poor Dr. Rachel? Well, Dr. Rachel is mean to boys and girls. Dr. Rachel wants every street boy just about to be done to him what he's done to himself. Dr. Rachel Levine believes that kids should be given all of the puberty blockers, and if you're a female, testosterone, and if you're a male, I guess, I had it on the tip of my tongue. What is the main female hormone? Anyway, if you're a boy, be given that. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, this man is not a nice man. I understand people who just have problems, but don't drag others into your problem. Of course, he will like this. Get a picture of him. A her. Now this is a her. Christian college's first out queer student body president sparks a reckoning. Yeah, they're going to reckon on this. Yeah, Christian college. Claire Mershima or something like that was voted class president of Calvin University, making her the first openly LGBTQ person to hold the position in the student senate's 102-year history. And may I say, John Calvin is turning over in his grave. Yes, would not make him happy. Now, if you're unsure about all the terms we throw out, according, the LGBTQI plus, transsexual, non-binary person, gender fluid person, all this stuff, you can go to NPR and read A Guide to Gender Identity Terms. That's right. And that way you too will be an expert such as myself on gender identity. Because, and it will tell you in there that a male who is gay but decides to be a girl, not a sex change, but just, trans becomes trans, meaning they're just identifying as another gender. They decide to be a female. They will no longer be gay. They will be considered a straight woman. I'm trying to keep a straight face, but that's what it says. The other hand, a male who likes women, who decides to be a woman, a trans woman, if he continues to like women, would be a lesbian. And so on. A woman who decides to be a male but likes women would no longer be a lesbian. She would be a straight male. And of course, a woman who likes men but wants to pretend to be a man, she would then be a gay male. You see, yeah. Anyway, we must be right on this. Florida becomes the 8th state to enact anti-trans sports bans this year, which does not make the doctor happy. And I like this little story on it, just the way they wrote it. On the first day of Pride Month, Florida signed a transgender athlete bill into law. But see if the male who becomes a female likes boys, it's not about pride, except they throw in transgender because he wouldn't be gay anymore. I know. It's confusing, but we must try to learn the labels. Florida's Republican governor signed a bill Tuesday barring transgender females, boys pretending to be girls, from playing on public school teams intended for student athletes born as girls, plunging the state into the national culture war over transgender rights. Forget girl rights, whatever happened to that? In Florida, girls are going to play girl sports and boys are going to play boy sports. That's right, we're going to do that, Governor Ron DeSantis said as he signed the bill into law at a private Christian academy in Jacksonville that would not be subject to the law. We're going to make sure that's the reality. I don't understand why he did it at a private Christian school, but way to go, Gov. Yeah. Now this will make the good doctor very happy. House Democrats unveil measure to protect transgender military dependents. And I assume transgender military members. A group of House Democrats on Tuesday introduced legislation that seeks to protect the transgender dependents of active duty service members by ensuring their parents or other family members are not stationed in states or countries that place restrictions on gender-affirming health care and treatments. So, in the rough and tumble world of the U.S. military, they will not send you to a base, or that's the law they want to get passed, not to send you to a base in a state or country where they do not allow your family members to receive treatment to trans over by. So, it has nothing to do with mission readiness. The U.S. military is what we've said it was going to be, what they wanted it to be forever, a social experiment. Because used to, you would go where the mission dictated, but now it'd be like, oh, we know that you should be part of this mission, but we're going to send you to a safe place for your transgender dependents and probably yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, we're in trouble. Right here in River City with a capital T and that rhymes. That's anyway, capital whatever stands for pool. Bye, Doc. SecularDems.org, you got to go there. It's one of the many reasons we're so messed up. We're following them. We're not following anything right or wholesome or even American. We're following the deranged dreams of Democrats that have gone totally secular. That's right, just came up with that on the fly. It's pretty good, huh? The deranged dreams. Yes. How about this? The deranged dreams of demented Democrats. Yeah, I'll work on it. I'll let you know. I think it's pretty good, though, just the way it is. These are things that they're causing. This will not make them happen because secular Dems, and you can read about secular Dems at seculardems.org in their own words what they're about. China is running out of people. Hard to believe, but their population is aging quickly, as are most populations. Why? Because young people don't seem to want to have babies. Probably all that abortion people are pushing and all that LGBTQI plus stuff, keeping young people from having babies. See, the world kind of needs babies. This is how you know no one is that serious about climate change, because if we really were, we wouldn't want more babies. We'd be like, good, glad everybody's dying off. The last person left alive, it'll be the best day on this earth. That's what they'd be saying. But no, China's saying, hey, you can have 3 kids now. You can be like the old U.S. families of 5 people. Remember that? And it was a pain, because I was from a family of 5. Because everybody said family of 4 was the average. Seemed like the average was a family of 5. You know what the problem with that was? Booths at restaurants. They were made for 4 people. It means one of you had to be the one stuck in the chair at the end. It also means maybe you were the one all by yourself at the next table. Explains a lot of why a lot of us are the way we are. Then anyway, China wants some more kids. So into the one China policy. That's good too. That's an answer to prayer. More than 100 scholars issue warning. Remember the old robot from Lost in Space? I gotta get him. Warning, warning, danger, danger. Run, young Will Robinson. More than 100 scholars issue warning that American democracy is in danger, and they call for federal reforms, meaning the Voting Rights Act, which is by and large part unconstitutional. Even if you're blind and never heard of the Constitution and can't read it, it's still unconstitutional. So a bunch of scholars, who are these scholars? They're academics, you know, they're at different think tanks and universities. And of course, President Pretend Biden has been talking about how democracy is under attack with all these new voting laws. That's right, all of them. Texas didn't get one though, because the Texas Democrats walked out. So they didn't have enough people to hold a quorum to vote. It's okay. It's wrong to filibuster, but it's okay to walk out. That was the meaning of this article. But none of the bill's provisions would actually prevent anyone from voting, no matter what Democrats say. And that is true. Look over all of these new voting restriction laws that they say is going to ruin democracy forever. None of them stop anyone from voting. All right? Not one of them. Even though you can't hand out water and food to someone that's been standing in line for 3 days waiting to do their sacred duty to vote. And they're dying, trying to vote of thirst and hunger. You can't hand them food. Unless you're an actual poll worker and not a member of a campaign or an organization or anything like that, then yeah, they can hand them a bottle of water. They can even give them a bag of candy or whatever. As long as it's neutral. You know. Liars, ladies and gentlemen. Liars. They're lying to you. Read the bills. Yeah. Family man. Look at the ticket, stupid. Not calling you stupid if you haven't read the bills. I'm just saying, read it. Might remember this during the recent Israeli-Hamas conflict. Anti-Semitic violence explodes across U.S. as Israel-Hamas declares ceasefire. That was happening, and that has led to this because for some reason, once Biden became president, everybody started beating the crap out of Asians. You know, Asians became a target, and so everybody started hating Asians once Biden was president. I don't know why. Makes no sense. Well, I mean, people just like new targets, I guess. Everybody's beating up Jews because Palestinians were bombing them and they were bombing back. I don't understand any of this, ladies and gentlemen. There's something wrong in a lot of people's hearts. Of course, it's not that many people, but it's enough. I mean, you shouldn't be beat up just because you're Asian. You shouldn't be beat up because you're Jewish. You shouldn't be beat up because you're black. You shouldn't be beat up because you're white. Shouldn't be beat up because you're gay. Shouldn't be beat up because you're straight. Come on. Somebody, to be beat up, you should have to actually do something to someone, not just exist, but that's the world we live in. Anti-Defamation League calls on Biden to appoint Jewish liaison amid rise in anti-Semitic attacks. They're doing this because the Asian community and Pacific Islander, community asked for someone high up to be there in the administration, in the regime, because of all the attacks on Asians, and so they appointed someone for that. So now they're going to have to appoint a Jewish person to coordinate, and I don't know. What do? Walk in, another Jewish person got beat up, another Asian person got beat up today, got to do something. What do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, what do you do? I don't see nobody knows the answer to that. There is an answer, but people won't take it. Yeah, we all become part of the brotherhood of man, brother. Well, we're all part of the brotherhood of man. Become part of the brotherhood of Jesus. That'd take care of it. Wouldn't be anybody being beat up then, but secular Dems of America wouldn't like that. And this, everybody keeps talking about critical race theory. Maybe you've heard of it. That's where everybody's taught how horrible white people are. And, of course, the pretend president, Joseph R. Biden Jr., is walking around telling everybody how despicable white people are and how much we have to have equity. Have to have equity because gay people were mistreated so long. So now we have to give them rights that no one else has. We have to have equity for black and brown and other people of color and other minorities where they get more than everybody else has. We have to have equity for the poor, so you can take from the rich and give to the poor, so they'll have as much as other people have. You have to have equity, ladies and gentlemen. Everything's about an equitable approach, meaning if you're white, such as a white restaurant owner or a white farmer, you go to the back of the line now because there was times you were in front of the line. And that's true. There were times, you dirty old white restaurant owner and farmer, you were at the front of the line. Well, you know what? Getting paid back now. Getting paid back now. So much so. And no, I'm not for equity. I'm for equality. I think this equity thing is ruining the country. It's not helping racism. It's creating racism. What we want is equality. We just want everybody to be treated the same. But we can't do that. No, we can't do that in this country, because the country that's supposed to guarantee equality for everyone, that's not enough. Because you know what? You had a bad start in life. You need more help than someone who had a good start in life. And that's obvious. What do? Why don't we just have everybody start off bad? Why don't we just become full-fledged communists? Unless you're a politician or a special person, everybody starts off bad. That'd be better, wouldn't it, than taking away and this and that and creating special classes? But no, that's what they want to do. And so much so, this has been proposed, ladies and gentlemen. Madness of Crowds author rips doctors calling for medical care based on race. Absolutely despicable. I would think so. Yeah, no, you're reading it right. I'm not making this stuff up. I'm not that. I would never think that. Madness of Crowds author Douglas Murray slammed Harvard professors and doctors on Wednesday for calling to implement a critical race theory agenda allowing preferential admission to black and other minority heart patients in a Boston Review piece titled, move this over so I can read it, and Anti-Racist Agenda for Medicine. The authors called for medical restitution, arguing that federally paid reparations, urgent and long overdue, would help to mitigate racial health inequities. I don't know, we've been hearing a lot about that, how, black people don't get as good of medical care. I just think if you're poor and not on Medicare, Medicaid, and even if you are, you probably don't get as good a care. Of course, a lot of people on Medicaid get better care than a lot of working people. Why? But because they can't afford the deductible on their insurance if they have insurance. So they just stay sick. I don't know. It's unbelievable, except for anyone who's followed what critical race theory is trying to do and the extent to which it is just ruining America. Every single facet of America is quite amazing to look at what these Harvard professionals have been arguing for. They say race should be a determining factor in how American heart patients are treated, and it says, wait for this, that there should be a preferential admission option for black and Latin patients. So if you're white and you're dying of a heart attack and two other people who are having heart attacks come in behind you and they happen to be black or brown, you in trouble. Like, I'll let the white guy die. Let the white woman die. Bring in the black person and brown person. Fair is fair. Fair is fair. You just have to picture for a moment and imagine how outraged we would all be if some Harvard professional said, you know, there should be preferential treatment for heart failure patients who are white. We would be outraged. And here are these medical professionals saying that there should be preferential treatment for black and other minority groups. I don't know. Let's all be outraged. Won't matter as long as these crazy, silly, evil people in Washington are in charge. It's what they want. It's what they want. They can't wait for the time that they can do that to someone. And see, my answer would just be, you know, if black and brown people aren't being treated as good, let's just bring them in and treat them good. Not let's punish the poor white person. Let's push them over and watch them die. I mean, is this the country everybody wants? Maybe that's the country everybody wants. I mean, when are they going to say, you know, okay, on the 4th of July, all white people have to stand outside of their unlocked house and let everybody come in and take what they want and beat them up. Why not? We'll go to The Purge, right? I've never seen the movie, but I understand what it's about. It'll be every 4th of July, be everybody's Independence Day against white people. They can just come and do whatever they want to us. Maybe that'll make everybody feel good. You got to withdraw all your money from the bank and have it stacked up. You know, just everything you have. All your deeds and everything. People just come take whatever. Move in. Just leave you in the yard. Tell you to get off their yard. Why not? Let's just do it. Let's get it over with. I can tell you what would happen, but it'd just get me in trouble. Even if we didn't fight back, I can tell you exactly what would happen. But I'm not. I have some restraint because people would take it wrong. But it's the truth. I can tell you what would happen. Suspected Russian cyber attack wipes out 1/5 of U.S. beef production capacity. Told you that yesterday. The JBS company, that's a meat processing company. I had them confused with Smithfield. I thought until today. I was at my local Walmart, the company that saved us during the pandemic, and this is the pork section. You will notice how many items are not there. In fact, there's not one item in the pork section. Every shelf is empty. Yeah, so no pork chops tonight, ladies and gentlemen. No pork chops tonight. And if you have some, sell them on eBay, make a fortune. All right, just thought you'd be interested in that as we go into some what? Well, I may not have that flu, but chances are you might get this new flu. China. I hate to say that because now more Asians will be beat up. And people, that is stupid. Why would anybody go beat up someone in this country for that? I don't. See, it's just the way the human mind has been conditioned to think in some people. I think there are people that when they are born and they start growing up, that their parents just bang their head repeatedly against the wall and they don't think right. Because I don't, another virus from China, I don't think about going and beat up a Chinese person. Israel is bombing Hamas. I don't think about beating up an Arab or Palestinian person. I don't think about beating up a Jewish person. I don't understand this. There's some messed up people in the world. Anyway, China confirms first human case of H1N1 bird flu. So, coming to a theater near you, it's the H1N1 or 0N3 bird flu. And you thought the summer was going to be fun. Little did you know you're going to be growing feathers and a beak and taking more vaccines. Yeah, well, there's more on the vaccines to come. Don't get too comfortable. Oh, you remember the Biden regime finally said, yeah, we're going to drop patents from the vaccines and share with the world. It's the right thing to do. Well, who doesn't think it's the right thing to do? Oh, yeah, big pharma lobbyists launch campaign against Biden over COVID vaccine patent waiver. Meaning, we want to make our money on this. We're going to give this away. We'll never get it back. This is our chance. This thing's worth super billions. I mean, really. You know how some people are becoming millionaires by getting vaccinated? I think there was a girl in Kentucky. She was the first vaccine millionaire. Got a call, thought it was a joke at first, but no, hey. West Virginia, nah, we're not doing that. West Virginia to give away guns is COVID-19 vaccine incentive. I am sure in West Virginia there are many, many people lining up now to get the vaccine. Come on, you got to go with what entices, right? Yeah, come on. So, giving away shotguns and hunting rifles and whatever. Israel finds possible link between Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine and myocarditis, a mild heart condition that mainly happens in being found in young men. It's a heart inflammation among men aged 16 to 30. So, but it's mild. It's okay. It's just your heart. Come on. We can transplant those now. Don't worry about your heart. Yeah. Isn't life fun now? Isn't life just always so much fun? I mean, wherever you turn. Again, Rosanna Dana, for those of you who remember original Saturday Night Live, just goes to show you there's always something. This ominous warning from Moderna could shake up the COVID vaccine market. Yeah, I'm just Mr. Good News today. All right. What's the ominous warning from Moderna, Danny? Well, Moderna had their science day. Yeah, where they talk to different scientists and stuff. Moderna Chief Scientific Officer Melissa Moore stated, as the virus spreads, it is rapidly mutating. Some of these new viral strains appear to be even more transmissible than the original strain. The good news is that vaccines from Moderna and Pfizer in particular have been highly effective so far. The bad news is, in Moore's words, we already know that some of these new strains are less susceptible to neutralization by our current vaccine. In other words, current vaccine doesn't work very well on them. Yeah, so I know you're already like, boy, this week's starting off bad, man. CDC, we told you this a couple of weeks ago, I think. CDC moved to limit investigations into COVID breakthrough infection sparks concerns. Yeah, because as we have already reported on our show, where more than likely you'll hear it first because we are good. Yes. And thank you. So many have watched on our return. Thank you for that. And on TikTok, we do a little around 60-second thing on TikTok every day, just a compilation of different sound bites. Wow, it went crazy yesterday. Everybody in the world is watching it. Thank you, TikTok. Yeah, just watch the whole show, though. Anyway. All right, you remember how at first everybody got mad at Trump by saying that the China virus, as he says, came from the Wuhan lab and leaked, came from China. And everybody thought it did until it wasn't popular to say that because Trump said it. And then people were saying, it happened in the marketplace. And then came that rumor that it could be engineered and it could have just come from the lab. Well, you know who was getting some emails on that? Our old friend, good old Dr. Fauci. Yeah, he was getting some emails early on that. And there were people expressing a lot of thoughts about it being genetically engineered. Well, Rand Paul has called for Dr. Fauci's firing. There's no real, from the emails I've seen, there's no real hard evidence, but boy, there's a lot of smoke. Yeah. So, you just can't trust that man. And now, of course, he's going to do the Cuomo thing and write a book on all the lessons he learned from the COVID-19 experience as we marvel at his amazing leadership. Without him, we would all be dead. We might all be dead now, but we just don't know it because he himself is keeping us alive. That's right. The man who told us at first, don't wear a mask, no need to wear a mask, that mask won't help you. You gotta love him. Wish they would fire him, but he'd just be on every TV show and everybody would just feel so bad for the multimillionaire and give him millions of dollars. Look who popped up, ladies and gentlemen, John Kerry. Hiya, John. Thanks for being a part of us. Thanks for doing all you can to destroy our economy and ruin the nation's banking system. The nation's banking system, Danny, what would he have to do with that? Well, the banks think so. Biden climate policy will be kiss of death for small banks, CEO says. You know what they're doing? Because the Biden regime has started under Bush, trying to track terrorist dollars. They thought that any terrorist would have at least $10,000 deposited in their bank account. And so they decided, hey, anybody that deposits $10,000 in their bank account, we should know about that because they could be a terrorist or a drug cartel member. And so they started using that for banks to, so they can track people, because if you're not a terrorist, how in the world why would you be depositing $10,000 into your own private bank account? Who knows? Anyway, they want to know. Well, also, they are now, because that's their new thing, to get banks to trace everything. Yeah, they're going to be tracing your cash flow to make sure you're not cheating on your taxes. I mean, banks are busy places. Well, now they want banks to determine their customers' carbon footprint. That's right. If you are a bank, you're going to have someone to determine that businesses, that small businesses work, depositing their money faithfully with you. You're going to have to determine their carbon footprint and report it to the federal government. And medium-sized and smaller banks are saying, we can't do that. We don't even know how to do that. Excuse me. We'll have to hire experts. We can't do this. What? And of course, they never think, and I don't know how you could, nowadays, unless you're a seller of cannabis, they do okay without banks, because most banks won't take their money because they never know when it's going to be seized, because it's still against the federal laws. Just don't bank. I don't know, but no, that's what they want to do. Thanks, John Kerry. You're so very... I'll leave it there. Biden administration puts Arctic refuge leases on ice. That's some clever writing, isn't it? As it asks for new environmental reviews which is not going to make Senator Murkowski very happy, but they already threw her a bone, giving, renewing some leases in another area. Trump, finally, everybody's been wanting to drill there for decades. Nobody wants to do it. Everybody thinks they're going to cover the whole area with oil rigs. No, it's a very small part. Very small part. But Biden has asked for another what, ladies and gentlemen? Another review.
It's the news and review coming right at you. Where three delightful animals have fun with what they do. They learn with their friend Doug and his helper Annie Joe.
With Freddie!
Charlie!
We have fun learning what we don't know.
Delicate and feminine is Henrietta Hippo. Very wise and very smart is Charlie the Owl. Not so smart with lots of heart is Freddie the Frog. It's quite an unusual thing. The animals talk and sing with Doug and Annie Joe. Every day's a different show. It's the news and review coming right at you. It's the news and review coming right at you.
Never really noticed what a racist and sexist show that was. There's not a person of color in there unless you count Freddie the Frog and Charlie the Owl. Henrietta Hippo even seems to be white. And of course, Doug's the main teacher, and Emmy Lou is or whatever her name was, the helper. How did we make it through the 70s? That's why we're walking around, all us middle-aged white guys are walking around beating up everybody because of that show. Well, we've got some rescue news.
Come on and rescue me. Come on, baby, and rescue me. Come on, baby, and rescue me.
Yes, some rescue news, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to start with Jen Psaki, who is back from her Memorial Day holiday, I guess. All right, take it away, Jen. Announce that new rescue news.
Event. Today, the Biden-Harris administration launched the Low-Income Household Water Assistance Program, a first-of-its-kind water assistance program that will expand access to more affordable water and help low-income households affected by the COVID-19 pandemic pay their water and wastewater bills, avoid shutoffs, and support household water system reconnections related to non-payment. $166.6 million, or 15% of allotted program funding, is being made immediately available to grantees, which will then, of course, be distributed in communities. In total, $1.1 billion will be available through grants, including $500 million in American Rescue Plan funding. The President believes that having access to affordable, clean, and safe drinking water is essential to everybody's health and well-being. A little preview.
Yes, another program to help those who are getting their water cut off, and sure, it's because of the pandemic, even at this late stage. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's kind of bring you up to date what they're doing to keep people at home and not working, which is still a question they get asked all the time. You can get $50 a month to help with your Wi-Fi. You can get that extra $300 a week unless you're in certain states, unemployment. You are getting somewhere around $2,000 extra food stamp money. Starting in July, you will be getting $250 to $300 per child. It's just racking up, ladies and gentlemen. I'm telling you. And on the water, yeah, okay, if there's somebody legitimately, they were thrown out of work, they haven't been able to get anything, they can't pay their water. What was the stimulus money for? See, if they're cut off now, what was the stimulus money for? Wouldn't that be for helping you through this time? Excuse me. What was the stimulus money for, if not for that? 3.7 million Americans set to lose unemployment benefits early as 25 states exit federal programs. Well, they'll need that water money there. And I'm not against anybody getting help. I'm really not. But ladies and gentlemen, we're creating a mess. Do you realize that? We are creating a mess we're not going to be able to get out of. And that's their whole plan. They wanted to transform the country. They want to keep flooding everybody with easy government money. It's their whole idea is to change the country. They thought they could do it under Obama, but they fell way short, and they're trying to get it all done now. Well, we've got this to say to you, pretend President Biden. So long, can't buy me with your money. I still ain't got one stimulus check, so I speak the truth. You're not even trying to buy me. Am I that bad, Joe? You don't even want to try to buy me? Come on. Biden to meet with GOP Senator Shelley Moore Capito to discuss infrastructure deal. That's right, to find out what they can agree on so he can say, I tried. I met with all these senators and people, all these Republicans, and they wouldn't give an inch. They told me it was my way or the highway, and these are the ones that won't give an inch. Of course, he also yesterday pointed out a couple of Democrat senators that he said always vote Republican. They're stopping him from getting done what he needs to do. Yeah, it's always something, isn't it, Joe? And this they so desperately want. Right before I started recording today's show, I went on to check. Netanyahu's rivals have just hours left to seal pact to replace him, to form a government to replace him. Of course, it will be led for 2 years by a very good man, Mr. Bennett. But then the next 2 years, going liberal. So I don't think it would hold together if they did. They have till about 5 today. Is that what it is? Yeah, 5 p.m. Eastern time to forge that. And oh, the Biden regime wants that so badly. They're hurting. They're hurting for it, I'm telling you. Is this more on that? Yeah, well. And of course, if not, they're going to face new elections and Netanyahu will remain in power. And he could be in power the rest of his life. They don't finally elect a government. This is kind of notable. It's just, another day in the life of Biden. China state media says country must prepare for nuclear war with U.S. after Biden asked for COVID probe. Yeah, they want more nuclear warheads and everything. They didn't like that, and they're pretty serious about it. We're really, hitting all the high notes with Russia and China. Hu Jing, the editor, I have no idea, but I think that's right. The editor of the Chinese state-run newspaper, the Global Times, considers enhancing China's nuclear program as being vital to the country's strategic deterrence against the United States. And since he is the editor of the state-run paper, that's what they're wanting to send that message. So they're telling us, hey, you don't back off, you're going to be in a new nuclear arms race. And they are wanting to greatly beef up their defenses because obviously we would just attack with nuclear weapons at any time. This is just fun. All right? It's just, once again, somebody starts getting the better of Jen and she reacts as she always does.
Go ahead.
President Biden campaigned on ending the federal death penalty. When is he going to take steps to do that?
He did campaign on that and has talked about his views on the death penalty. I don't have any update on any forward action.
Is his delay there a sign that perhaps he doesn't feel as strongly about this as maybe he sounded when he was campaigning.
I don't think it's a sign of that. There's a legal process and a Department of Justice process that would be standard in any scenario here.
He changed his mind on the death penalty because
I didn't convey he changed his mind.
The 94 crime bill expanded the amount of crimes that
He spoke to this pretty extensively on the campaign, and that's his position. I think we're going to have to move on. Go ahead.
Not nice. You don't think Biden could have said things on the campaign trail he really didn't care about? And it wasn't really nice of that report. I don't know who she is. First time I remember seeing her. To bring up the fact that a large part of the problem was the crime bill that he helped put together back in '94. They hate it when they bring up that crime bill. You know what? Because it was basically written to work against black people. He even mentioned them in his talks. Now, of course, we've got to have a police bill because black people, and again, when I say this, black people don't need to be harassed by the police, don't need to be beat up. But it's a very different Joe Biden back in '94. If he was a Republican, he'd never been able to make the transition. And he probably still hasn't. He just uses people, ladies and gentlemen. All right, where are we at?
Make a run for the border.
And what do we have?
I got unaccompanied minors. Is this some kind of prison?
This is heartbreaking. And I'm going to show you the whole thing because I have said the same things that the man on Fox says. I can't remember his name. I've said the same things, and somebody else is saying it. So, a little late to the game, but this is heartbreaking. We set it up with this question from Ducey to Jen.
Immigration. Has the president or the vice president seen the video from last Friday of a 5-year-old boy dropped off along the border yelling to the adults who abandoned him, no, don't go, no?
Well, I've seen the video. It is heartbreaking, and the reason we continue to be very clear, regularly migrating to the United States puts ourselves and others at risk. That's why we've relaunched certain efforts to build a more fair and orderly immigration system, including programs like the Central American Minors Program that allows kids who are eligible to apply from within country. But I don't think anyone, whether a parent or not, would watch that video and not feel heartbroken by a 5-year-old, I think, screaming at the border.
Thanks.
Go ahead. Thanks, Jen.
Her standard answer. Of course, it's not enough. Again, this is heartbreaking. If you don't want to watch it, fast forward.
This video is heartbreaking. I have a 5-year-old. It is a 5-year-old little boy right there. We're going to play it for you. But he's carrying his teddy bear, and he's left at the border by a man and a woman. They're walking away, and he is screaming, "Please don't leave me. Come back." Listen.
They're left by the border of Juarez and El Paso. This happened on Thursday. This video has now emerged. So you see it's a barbed wire section of the wall. And he wants the trafficker, the human trafficker, not to leave him alone. I mean, that's how bad things get for a 5-year-old. What parent can do that regardless of conditions is beyond me. But who could ever watch that video and say there's not a huge problem at our border?
It's a big problem, and Washington is incentivizing this chaos that's happening at the border.
Why is that, Lawrence? Because they say if you're a kid, you get to stay if you come.
It's a magnet problem. Look, and we've been forced not to have this conversation because they tell us we don't understand the climate that's there. There's a lot of American families that are going through a lot. You know what would happen if they decided to just send their kid out? The parents would be in jail,
And arrested.
the kids would be in CPS.
That's a good point.
Rightfully so. And what this country is doing right now under the Biden administration is putting kids at risk. And you know what? We're showing the video of all these kids every single week. What about the kids that don't make it? What about the kids that die in the wilderness? What about the kids that are starving to death? What about the kids that are pumped on birth control, Ainsley, because they're raped along the journey? It is aiding and abetting, and it is helping the cartel. And our elected officials have to make it very clear. No more magnet. If you're a parent, there's no reunifying anymore. These parents are unfit
They're not listening
to
to you.
parent.
They're not listening to you.
It's not right.
This is not right. This is a major problem. This is a crisis. Children, 5 years old. These two little sisters, I believe they were, I think they were 3 and 5, thrown over the wall. No one's there to get them except for these Border Patrol agents. And they don't have as much funding and they don't have as much manpower. And so we don't know how many of these kids that are dropped off at a wall or at the border that we never find. This 5-year-old screaming, if you have a 5-year-old, if you're a parent, you cannot ever imagine doing this to your child. Apparently, the parents live here in the United States. Moments later, the border agent did spot the child, heard the child screaming, and came and picked up this little boy. So hopefully he will safely be reunited with his parents.
Brian, we're going to reunite. We're going to bring the parents this child.
Yeah,
after
they win.
That's
Win-win.
not right. That's not right.
And then they get to
it's
stay.
not safe, and America should be blamed if anything else happens to that child. They are unfit parents. If any American citizen would do the same thing, they would be behind bars, rightfully so.
Well, I just also remember clearly the one still photo of that little girl crying as their mom was being arrested under the Trump years. And they said that picture never stopped leaving all the other networks, network television, other cable networks, that picture of that child crying. We have that to the 10th power. We have actual video on a daily basis. Children being dropped over walls, sitting in cramped spaces.
Children abused inside these facilities.
Right.
Greg Abbott's been talking about that.
And when you have Mayorkas come out and say that's not who we are, that goes against our values. Going against our values, the Homeland Security Secretary of saying if you get here, you get to stay here is a go sign to every Central American country, including, by the way, countries as far as Romania to come through our southern border.
Right.
Brian, Lawrence, how is this going to affect these children in the long term?
The mental
a 5-year-old, the mental health, that child is never going to forget that moment, being scared to death, left alone in the pitch black dark in a country he's probably never been to.
But of course, the Biden people are humane. They're the ones that really know how to take care of kids. Migrant sisters recount crossing U.S. border alone while their mother stayed behind. I'm going to do this so we give you the full scope, and I've got another one I won't be able to get to today, maybe tomorrow. Phillipsburg, New Jersey, Brenda 13 and Rosa 15 have an unlikely new home in this sleepy town on the banks of the Delaware River. Though they are more than 1,900 miles away from their hometown in central Honduras, the two inseparable sisters are relieved to be back together. They still vividly remember how difficult it was for them to be apart from one another after they crossed the U.S.-Mexico border separately earlier this spring. That's right, separately. They had a plan, ladies and gentlemen. The sisters left Honduras with their mother after their coffee farms, their family's livelihood, were destroyed by two devastating back-to-back storms last fall, which we feel bad about. Excuse me. The girls said they also longed to be with their father, Manuel, who had been living and working in New Jersey after crossing the southern border with his eldest son in 2019. So, the Biden administration has declined to expel unaccompanied migrant children under a public health authority known as Title 42. However, it has continued to expel adults and families with children to Mexico. Not true. The family could wait in crime-ridden northern Mexico indefinitely or try to cross U.S. border together and risk being expelled. Brenda and Rosa could also try to enter the U.S. as unaccompanied children. That's what they were doing with that little boy. Brenda and Rosa, and you know, the girls, it's not their fault. Brenda and Rosa said their mother, fearing for their safety, allowed them to cross the Rio Grande without her. Brenda, the youngest, was the first to cross unaccompanied. It was really difficult because we had never separated from our mom, she said. Family's decision to separate was not an anomaly. Between President Biden's inauguration and early April, U.S. officials have recorded more than 2,100 cases of children crossing the southern border unaccompanied after being expelled from their family. And that's the ones we just know of. So the family comes up and says, you go in there. Why? Because early on, Secretary Mayorkas said, if we have your child, we will take care of them and we will work to reunite either in your home country or if you elect, is what he said, we will do what we can to legally bring you here for the reunification and to live here. So what would you do? This isn't hard to think. The government tally obtained by CBS News through a Freedom of Information Act request likely undercounts the actual number. Yeah, that's what I just said. Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas has on multiple occasions acknowledged that his department has been tracking cases of self-separation along the southern border. We are certainly hearing anecdotally that some families self-separate to allow their children to enter the United States unaccompanied, Mayorkas told senators during a hearing earlier this month. That speaks to the trauma that these families have endured in their desperation to give their children a better life. And if you've ever heard him talk, he sounds like he's about to cry. No, I don't like him because he's a liar too. They're all liars. They're all deceivers. They're putting people at risk. There's the two little girls. God bless them. Brenda and Rosa's mother remained in Mexico for weeks until earlier this month when she managed to enter the U.S.-Mexico border and reunite with the rest of the family in New Jersey. We don't know how she did it. Was it legal? We don't know. Running out of time. I have a whole new story on it. We just keep telling them what, Rod, Ruddy?
Angela Fuentes, come on down!
Yep, got old Rod back. Who else do we have around here? Yeah, what were they?
I'm like a lost, found in a border town.
What else we got? Because this whole thing is what? Is what, Tommy Lee?
Well, it's a mess, ain't it, Sheriff? If it ain't, it'll do till the mess gets here.
No Country for Old Men. Some of it shot in Del Rio, Texas, where we were last Monday, a week ago Monday. Went on the No Country for Old Men tour. It's a mess. If it's not, it'll do till the mess gets here. Ladies and gentlemen, you got to make your voice heard. Even then, it's doubtful they'll care. These people are horrible. They don't care about that little boy screaming. And who left him? I've got a 6-year-old granddaughter. I wouldn't do it. I've got a 11-year-old grandson. I wouldn't do that to. These are our values. These are our values. I don't really want them. That's horrible. If that video had happened under Trump, that's all you'd be hearing. And everybody would say, no, you got to stop this. Inside information. What do we have? The regime is emboldened because they are getting positive feedback from various groups, but they are also under immense pressure because nothing they do is enough. They are getting tired of these groups. Yeah, we want you when we want you, but then, leave us alone. And trying to shake them off. They are already looking for, but they are, what is that? Anyway, looking for dirt on the leaders of these various groups to hold off their demands, to get the leaders to hold off the demands. They know that the danger is that the groups will dig in them and find dirt, which isn't hard to do. And there are too many stories to guard everything against. They're a messy regime. The regime is a cesspool, and they all know it. They, the worst are being looked into, the worst people in the regime to sacrifice early. But some of them know too much, so they must be paid off to leave. They are just all pack of thieves. A little bit of commentary there. So they're trying to get dirt on the groups that are pushing them to get the leaders to back off. And of course, they are afraid the groups are going to find dirt on them. So they're trying to find the really messy employees and appointees and get rid of them. Told you it's fun. It's Wednesday fun day. Usually that's Friday, but it's fun today. The generals in the military are anxious. We've got a little thing which is unusual in this part of the show, but it fit. Pentagon defends woke diversity and inclusion training programs. You know, saying, hey, that's what works now. We don't want a military, we want a social project. The generals are anxious. They do not like the direction of the military, and now these are certain generals, and are wanting to leak out a lot of information, but do not have a channel that they trust yet. Cheryl Atkinson, Laura Loomer, my favorite. What is her name? Oh, geez. Man, I can't believe that. Anyway, there's lots of good ones. Leak it out to them. Lara Logan. Lara. Yeah. Laura Loomer. Lara Logan. Yeah, that's it. Leak it out to them. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. I'm sorry I didn't have better news for you. Except for the transgender bill being signed in Florida. Did I have any good news? Well, the little boy was reunited with his scummy parents. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to all of us that the country's this bad off. And this is just the highlights. We could get into so much worse. You got to make your voice heard. You really do. We've got to pray. We got to make our voices heard. We got to pray. We might have to march, even though they'll probably shoot us down. This is horrible. So pray God bless America. God help America. Pray for one another. Share the show. It's all right. Tell people to watch it. Someone will learn some things. Read into all these voting laws that are being passed that keep people from voting. No, they don't. Look into what's really happening. Forgive me if in some of my weaker moments I get a little crude sounding, but it's a lot. But thank you for watching. Spread the word. Share the show. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.